Hi team, welcome to the fourth round of our base strength program. Today's session again is going to focus on building and developing your strength while incorporating some mobility, start at the end of the session, activation, coordination, balance, stability, all rolled into one. So today's session, we're going to get started. You're going to need, again, a nice heavy or strong weight. So if you haven't got your hands on some yet, that's ideally what you want, because we want to build up weight as we go through. So anywhere between 5 to 10 kilos, could be a bit more depending on your level, but often that is variations within that is quite good. And a band, if you've got one, always handy to have as well, but the exercise today will be weight based. Okay, to start with, we're just going to get some mobility and activation happening. So we're going to be down on our hands and knees. Just going to do T-spine rotation. One hand to your ear. I'm going to rotate up, so getting some movement through your spine, and then pushing that elbow through and then back up. So I'm going to do sort of 6 to 8 on one side. So you don't have to move through it fast, take your time. You're trying to get the movement through your spine. We've got a little bit of activation happening through your core here as well. A couple more here. And switch sides. Trying to poke that elbow through, then we're trying to get it up to the sky, and then pushing it all the way through. But you want your hips to stay stable. You're not trying to get the movement through, going like this and through your hips. You're trying to keep those stable. You're getting the movement through your spine. Last couple. And then just while we're here, stay in your hands and feet, we'll just do a little bit of cat-cow. So we're going to arch through our back, eyes looking up to the sky, and then in the opposite direction. So pushing through your hands here into your mat, arching up, bum sticks up, chest up, and then back down. So move through that at your own pace. I'm going to do 6 or 8 here. Another couple. Great one if you've been sitting at the computer all day or you've just woken up. Okay, relax there, shake that out. We're going to go over into our hip and openers. So these ones you should be really familiar with now. Go at your own pace. If you want to hold them, or if you want to roll over and hold the movement, you can. So do what feels right for your body today. There's never one way to do something, so if you like a couple of other mobility exercises that you like to include, or activation, or areas that you know you're working on, then definitely go for it. Include them or switch these ones out. There's hundreds, thousands of exercises that could be included in here. Okay, we're going to then lay on our backs. I like to start just on the floor, and then we'll work our way onto our feet. Nice neutral spine, so give it a bit of wiggle, so that's on the ground. And we're just going to do our dead bugs, activate our core. So you can start just with feet. If you want, arms can be up. You can also then do arms included. And you can see why it's called dead bug. Okay, so we're not trying to work our core here, we're just trying to activate it. So we don't need it to do it too intense. You don't need to stretch the legs out. Just keep it nice and easy to start with. We finish off today's session with core again, so Plenty of time to work that. And relax. Okay, coming up onto our feet. Open up those hips. And we're just going to twist through here. So we're going to press one hand into your mat, elbow into your knee, twisting up, and then switching. So go through that at your own pace. What feels right for you today? Couple more here. And standing up. Before you stand up, keep your hands on the ground. Just hang in that position. Stretch out those hammies. And then we're just going to slowly roll up, chin to chest. Eyes and hands to the sky, slight back bend, and arms down and relax. Okay, we're just going to go into plank walkout, so making your way to the end of your mat. We're then just going to fold forward, walk your way out, getting into that plank position. Then we're just going to go onto toes, then pushing heels to the floor, onto toes, heels to the floor, onto toes, then back into downward dog. Pedaling it out if you need. I'm going to go back into that, onto toes, heels, toes, heels, and then working your way back up. So try to keep your core engaged while you're doing that. We're then going to fold up, vertebrae by vertebrae, chin to chest. Head's the last thing that comes up to the sky, slight back bend, and then we'll do one more of those. Folding down, making your way out onto your mat in plank position, toes, heels, into downward dog, pedal it out, back into toes, heels, back into downward dog, and then make your way back up. Hang there for a moment. You can have a slight knee bend if you need, if the stretch is too intense, and then folding up. Eyes and hands to the sky, slight back bend, and relax. We're then just going to grab a band. If you don't have a band, that is okay as well. We're just going to do some shoulder openers. And what we're doing here is we're just going straight up, straight down, trying to squeeze those shoulder blades together. What we're trying not to do is we don't want to flare through the chest, so keeping that core engaged the whole time. If you don't have a band, you can do them as wall angels, so up against a wall, because that way you can actually feel those shoulder blades squeeze as you go down, and then back up. Squeeze them down, back up again, avoiding that flare through the chest, so try and keep that core locked on. Get movement through the shoulder blades. Couple more here. And relax. Okay, first exercise today is goblet squat. So we're going to need a reasonable size weight. So depending on your level, what that may be. We want our weight close to our chest. We want to be standing up nice and tall. And it is a squat. So essentially like a weighted squat. And the few things that we want to make sure with a squat, that we're sitting backwards. We're not going here, so we're not going forward. We're sitting back into it. And that weight you should feel through the mid to heels of your feet. So those toes you should be able to wiggle at any point in time, okay? So their weight is back in your heels. Okay, so the first variation there is weight is simply nice and close to your side. You could do a suitcase goblet, which is there's a weight on one side, which just creates a little bit of instability. So you're having to fight against twisting as you're doing that. The other variation, if you want to try another one, is one weight is up at your shoulder and one weight by your side. So just creating a little bit extra weight through there. Now today we're just doing sort of 6 to 10. So we're trying to load up with some weight here. So it doesn't have to be heaps of reps. We're trying to get some weight strength development through there. Okay, so these 3 variations, choose which one works for you. You just want 6 to 8 of each of those if you've got a reasonable size weight. If you haven't, you can up the reps a little. But then you're doing 1 round, 45 seconds rest, stretch out, do what you need in 45 seconds, and then repeating 3 to 4 times through. So off you go, do those, press pause. When you finish, come back, and we're on to our next exercise. Okay, goblet squats done. We're going to get into bent over row. So with our weights, and this is where you might need to choose your variation of what works for you. So we're going to be in, so as it's called, in a bent over position. We want our chest quite low. We don't want to be up, standing up here. So we actually want to be low, so that core is engaged and locked on there. Weights in your hand. If you've only got one, that's okay. You can just hold one at a time. We are single arm, but having 2 extra weights obviously creates some extra tension. That core is having to work to hold there. And elbow is driving backwards. Okay, so again, we're looking for only like 6 to 8 here. So nice weighted ones. All right, everything is staying nice and still. It's that arm that's driving backwards. So feel that shoulder blade squeeze as it goes. So you want 6 to 8 on one side, 6 to 8 on the other side, and that's 1 round through. Okay, you could also do it as an alternative. So you could go alternating if you want to do them together. It means you don't get any rest in between. You're still looking at 6 to 8 or 6 to 10 on each side. Okay, next round you go through that if that's what you're doing. Go and switch legs so you've got a different stance leg the next round through. Okay, bent over rows, 6 to 10 of those, weighted, either single arm or alternating arm. 45 seconds rest in between each round. Take that rest so you can reset and get ready for your next round, 3 to 4 rounds. Press pause, come back, and we'll finish off with some core. Okay, strength done. We're going to finish with a little bit of core. We're going to take ourselves onto the ground. We're going to find us in a hollow hold. So feet are going to be up. The more advanced is legs straight. If you need to, legs can be bent. Our shoulders are going to be off the ground, and we're going to be literally, what's called, hollowing through here and holding. So we're looking at around a count of 30 seconds. More intense, the lower you go. We don't need to do that. That can often put too much tension on the lower back. So we're holding here. Okay, so breathing and counting through. If 30 seconds is too long for you, we'll then go with where you are at today. That could be 20 seconds, it could be 15 seconds. That's totally okay. Just remember, because when you go and come back to this, you want to try and increase that. Another 10 seconds here. Haven't got my clock on, so hopefully I'm roughly right, but when you do your rounds, you'll be able to set your clock. 3, 2, 1, and relax. During your 45 seconds break, stretch it out. We've got 3 to 4 of those. Then your next exercise, you can either do these exercise 1, 2, 3 and do 3 rounds, or if you want to do all your hollow holds and then all the next one, that is totally fine as well. We're doing bicycles. So shoulders are slightly off the ground. We're actually twisting through here. Okay, so we're getting that rotation through the core, working obliques. We're looking at somewhere between 8 to 12 on each side. Great work. A few more here. Last couple. And relax. So again, with that core, during your rest intervals, stretch it out. Give your core a little bit of a rest, and then you can repeat that 3 to 4 times through. Or if you want to jump in the third exercise and then repeat them all together, that is totally fine as well. So the last core exercise is we're going to be in a high plank position. So we're going to be nice and strong here, and we're going from high to low. Okay, and we're switching arms as we go through. So we're in that high position, so everyone start there again. You're going to drop your right elbow to the ground, then left elbow, then left hand on the mat, right hand on the mat. Then going opposite, left elbow, right hand, left hand. Right elbow, left hand, right hand. It doesn't really matter, but it just means you've got that variation. What we're looking for here is to stay strong through here. So we're trying to minimize the movement through your hips, through your core. Okay, this is a strong one. A variation of the plank again. Just makes it more challenging. Trying to go for 8 to 12 on each side. So you definitely feel your core after today. So once you've done 8 to 12 there, 3 to 4 rounds through. So either doing each of those core exercises back to back, or taking each exercise one-on-one, 3 times through, and then you are done. So as I said, you'll definitely feel your core after finishing those. So press pause, come back, and we're going to finish with some mobility. All right, core done. We'll be looking to stretch that out now. We're just going to be on our stomachs, elbows, nice light stretch to start with. Eyes to the sky, so trying to stretch through the chest. You feel the lower back. And coming back down, hands on the mat, forehead on the mat. Then we're pushing up into like a push-up position, plank position, then down into downward dog. We're going to go flow through our chaturanga, down into that low plank, upward dog, back down, tuck feet under, and downward dog. Stretching out at the top, stretching out at the other end. Flow through at your own pace. Couple more flows here. Last one. And relax. We're then going to go into a runner's lunge. So staying down in this position, we'll put one foot out wider than, so you probably see here, so it's actually wider than our hands. And we're just going to give it a little massage on the way out. Chest up nice and tall. Stretching those hips, switch to the other side. Switch back to the other side. Again, working through dynamically rather than just static stretches. This provides mobility as well as flexibility, and often includes some stability as well, which you're having to work to hold a position. We're then going to come foot under here. So starting off it's like you're in that 90-90 position, but then you're coming up over and stretching through our glute. And we're just going to pop our head on our hands to feel that stretch. So hold it where it feels good for you. Taking a moment to have a few big deep breaths. And then up onto your bum, switching those legs over, and then onto the other side. So leaning into that stretch again, head down. Work through that. Take your time. And back up. Okay, we're just going to go onto our back. We're nearly done here. Knees in tabletop position, windscreen, side to side. It's a beautiful way just to finish off a session. If you don't do this after a run or a bike session, well then take some of these exercises and utilize them in other parts of your training. We're then just going to twist our legs over, take them over to one side, looking in the opposite direction, feeling that twist through our spine, through our hips, and holding it there and breathing through it. Few big deep breaths. Then coming back up, untwisting and switching over. Getting those shoulder blades down to the ground, looking to that opposite fingertips, breathing through it. And back up and unwind. Just stretch out nice and tall now. Pointing toes, pointing fingers. And we're just going to do a couple of little roll-ups. So fingers first, chin to chest, rolling up nice and slowly. Reaching to those toes, sitting up tall. Reaching back to the toes and rolling back down. Just going to do a couple here to finish. Point those fingers and toes to opposite ends of the room. Then rolling back up, chin to chest, vertebrae by vertebrae. Take your time, stretch out to your toes, up nice and tall, back out to your toes, and rolling back down. One last one here, stretching out, taking your time, rolling back up, chin to chest, vertebrae, vertebrae, take your time, stretching out to those toes, sitting up tall, last stretch out to your toes, and back down. One final stretch out. You had a little bit of a wiggle here, wiggle your hips. And now we want to relax. Hands on your chest, hand on your belly. I'm just going to take a moment, take a few big deep breaths before we get into the rest of our day. Close down your eyes if you like. This is a great way just to really calm down the nervous system. Come back to your breath. And then when you're ready, you can come up into seating position. And you are done. If you need to finish off with any other mobility or even better, some rolling at the end, then go for it. Perfect chance to do it while you've got all your setup happening. Otherwise, thanks for joining me, and I will see you next session. Bye.